I now want to help you understand the Microsoft Viva apps that we have available to us. So the first thing to understand is just, what is Microsoft Viva in general? Viva is a series of apps that Microsoft has put out in the workplace to try to help with workplace culture and make users, employees, more effective at their jobs and also feel more like they're part of the company and also be able to collaborate and communicate. It's sort of the next step up from just using something like Microsoft Teams in Microsoft 365 in general. It sort of bridges the gap between your employees, your users, and the management, the different people that are trying to make this company survive and be, and support growth. The idea being that these series of apps are going to make the company, I guess, feel more like a family, and a company that shows that they care about their employees versus just the older school way of thinking. And this gets into the whole newer age of thinking of where companies are not seeing their employees as just little drones that go and do their job and go home, but more about trying to show that the company cares about the employee and their growth. Okay, part of this also stems from the fact that we are in a different time period now, where employees could be anywhere working. It's not your traditional work environment where employees are just coming in to the office and going to their cube or their office or whatever and working and going home. A lot of people are working from home now, and it's hard to make those people especially feel more like they're part of the organization. And on the flip side of that as well, one of the benefits of people being together in an office is the chance meetings and ideas, the water cooler moments where people talk about things and they go to lunch together and stuff like that. Now you don't have that in companies because of the fact that a lot of people are working from home. So Viva is trying to bridge the gap there between this concept of people being anywhere all over the world working at different times of day, different time zones, versus the older school way of thinking, which was, everybody's in the same building, or a lot of people work together in the same building and all that. So this is the idea, to try to help that. Help users build connections even when they are away from each other. Okay, Viva is built to be very customizable and extensible. They are supporting it to where developers have toolkits and APIs, application programming interfaces, that they can develop and provide even more capabilities into Viva. In other words, a company can customize certain things with their own developers to make Viva apps more along the lines of what the company wants. Okay, this is meant to be a very integrated experience for your users as well as your administrators and management. One of the big benefits of Viva is the fact that management can look at analytic data and statistical information to understand how their users are interacting together and all that. The other thing I'd like to mention is Viva is very much built not to be some kind of a spy tool from a management's perspective. What I mean by that is, yes, your managers can look at the analytics and statistical information about how users are interacting with each other and how frequently users are using certain apps, and pulling all this data through like insights. There's a Viva Insights that you'll see here coming up, but it doesn't allow management or administrators to like single out a specific person, which is kind of good, I guess you would say. It's not really, again, meant to be a spy product for management and administrators. It's more about trying to provide some good insights and analytic data. So let's look at the individual apps that are available for Microsoft Viva. So first you have Viva Connections. All right, and Viva Connections is basically an app that is integrated with Microsoft Teams, and it's really built to analyze the user's day-to-day activities, and then produce content that user might be interested in looking at, reading. It's going to provide recommendations. It'll even recommend certain things. If the user, let's say the user is into meditating every day, it'll recommend meditation articles and periods of time where maybe the user needs to might want to meditate. That's just an example. If the person is a specific religion, it can produce religious articles and documents based on that. So you're also going to notice that this is very heavily reliant on AI. A lot of this Viva apps utilize AI to analyze what the user does and what the user looks at, and then recommend things to that user. The point of this is not necessarily to, again, advertise or spy on the user. The point is to try to make the user feel more like, hey, the company and the organization cares about me. They've got these apps that are actually recommending things that might enrich my life and make me a more valuable employee. So that's the idea of connections. The next is Viva Engage. So Viva Engage, the idea here is this is an app that is very much geared towards, it's a Facebook/Twitter style app. Microsoft has Yammer. You might have heard of Yammer. Yammer is retiring and basically being engulfed by Viva Engage. So Viva Engage is what's replacing Yammer. And again, it is very much a Facebook style, Twitter style social media platform for employees to post content out there. And this doesn't necessarily have to be business oriented. This could literally be, a post, a hobbyist type post for employees to share a hobby that they do and meet other employees that share that same hobby. Or maybe you're into German Shepherd dogs and you post an article about that, and other employees that work for the company can be like, oh, I have a German Shepherd as well. It allows us to engage each other. Granted, you can use this for business as well. This is not just for that type of thing, but a big part of what Engage is all about is to try to bring employees together and, again, allow them to share information and grow closer together so that their working environment will be closer. That's the idea of Engage. So then you have Insights. Now this is probably one of the biggest ones from an administrator and manager perspective. Insights is grabbing analytic data from all the apps themselves and pulling those into a central dashboard where administrators and managers can go and look at. Mostly this would be geared towards a manager who is wanting to see how their employees communicate and how Viva is benefiting these employees. All right, so this is going to let them search. They can see how often their users are using things like Outlook and Teams, and is there a group of users perhaps that doesn't really use those a whole lot. Again, this is not going to allow management to spy on specific employees, but it will allow them to gain analytic data from a group of employees if they want. Now, I'm not saying it's impossible. You could potentially put a single user in a single group and monitor the group, but ultimately this is not really meant for any kind of a spy deal or any of that. It's all about trying to learn about your employees, learn about their day-to-day activities, learn how they're using their apps and the time period of the day where they're active and all of that. That's what Viva Insights is all about. Then you've got Viva Glint. All right. So Viva Glint, the idea here, they call this the voice of the employee app. This allows a company to produce surveys and recommendations and things like that. They can ask questions to their employees. This allows employees to sort of give their thoughts and feelings on certain things at the company, at the organization. It basically gives your employees a voice at the company. If they are happy about something, if they are unhappy about something, it gives them the opportunity to voice their opinions. Okay, So the idea of Viva Glint is to give your employee a voice and allow them to post out to the company so that management can see it and see if people are happy, if they're not happy, if a new company policy comes out and they want to get a feel for what the employees think about it, they can do that. That's the idea of Viva Glint. Next, you've got Viva Pulse. So with Viva Pulse, this is going to allow your leaders and managers to get feedback when it matters. So basically using research backend templates, it's going to allow you to share experience and suggestions, gain reporting information from managers, and this will involve not just hey, we've posted a new policy, but this is going to be more project oriented than what we were seeing with Glint. Okay, this is whereas with Glint, employees can just go and they can post and send messages out. This is Viva Pulse is more about, hey, a manager wants feedback on specific things, like, hey, we've got this project we're working on, and this project deadline is set for 6 months from now. I need to get employee feedback on the possibility of this happening. Do you guys think that, hey, this 6 months is enough time? It's that sort of thing. So it's more business oriented and project oriented than just what you're getting with Glint. There's definitely some overlap there, and I can definitely see where, somebody would say, well, it sounds like Viva Pulse and Viva Glint, they kind of sound the same, but they're really not. They are supposed to be different. One being more project oriented, like I said, than the other. Okay, so just sort of think about it from that standpoint, in terms of whether just understanding the difference between those two. Okay, all right. Then we've got Viva Topics. So this is automatically organizing your content across your different apps, teams, and dealing with projects and customers. And what's great about this one is it's very, very AI driven, and it will grab everything and pull it together in almost like a wiki type of environment. So if you're familiar with Wikipedia and all of that, this will grab data from SharePoint and Outlook and the various Office products, and it's basically going to make it where you are able to pull this data together and allow users to go and view information in a wiki style of environment. Okay, so the idea being that you have this capability of collaborating in a wiki style type of scenario, which a lot of organizations and companies are using these days. So then you've got Viva Learn. Now Viva Learn is geared to be sort of like a training platform for employees. It shows up in Microsoft Teams, okay, and the idea being that we can suggest certain training for an employee. So when an employee wants to, or when let's say we've got a project going on and there's some kind of a new technology that you need your employees to learn, you can have a suggestion pop up. If you look at the graphic right there, you can kind of see the idea where they're suggesting Windows as a service planning deployment. This would be kind of like with IT people. You have an IT team that's got to learn what Windows as a service is, and Microsoft has all this information. They've got you've got LinkedIn, you've got Udemy, you've got all these learning platforms that can link in with this, and you can suggest, also YouTube and places like that. You can suggest videos for your employees to watch. Okay. And lastly, we've got Viva Goals. Now, Viva Goals is a project-oriented or goal-oriented solution that allows a company, organization, or project manager to set goals that are trying to be met in a certain time frame. And this allows you to post this within Microsoft Teams and have these apps made available to essentially recommend, hey, these are the key steps that we have to meet in order to reach this goal, and we got to try to meet these key steps in this time frame. So it's very, very project management oriented. It uses the OKR framework, which is objectives and key results, which again, you have key things that have to be met, these objectives that have to be met in order to meet the goals of this project or the company's goals, whatever it may be. It could be sales or, whatever. It could be IT, again, if we were rolling out a new operating system. But Viva Goals is to try to link in with Microsoft Teams so that so all the employees can collaborate and they know, okay, well, these are the goals that we're trying to meet. This is the time frame we're trying to meet it in, and go from there. All right. So this is going to also integrate with all your employees with Microsoft Teams and try to help push things forward in terms of a project management perspective. All right. Well, hopefully now you have a little bit of an understanding. You do not have to be an expert in Viva for what we're learning here, for the stuff you need to know. But my only suggestion is just know a little bit about these apps, okay? So if I was to ask you a question, like if I was to ask you a question along the lines of, management needs to deploy a solution that's going to allow analytic data to be grabbed, and management needs to be able to see how frequently users are using certain apps. Which app would we use? We'd use Viva Insights for that, right? If I said that management wants to get feedback from employees and allow those employees to share experience involving a project, that would be Viva Pulse. Things like that. That's sort of what you're going to want to know. So my suggestion would be that you just know a little bit about each one of these apps. Okay. All right. Other than that, that's the idea of Viva. Just have a little bit of knowledge about each one of the apps, and you're going to be good to go.